Hi. In this video, we'll be looking at operations with positive and negative integers. This is really important as we move forward in algebra that we're able to add, subtract, multiply, and divide positive and negative integers, and not just integers, but in general terms. All right, so we'll start off with what happens when we multiply. So on this page, we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing, actually, because they're the same. Not the same thing, but the same rules. So when we multiply a positive number by a positive number, we'll always get a positive number. And that's kind of obvious, right? Like 5 times 4 will give us positive 20. Positive by positive is also positive. Same is true if we multiply a negative number by a negative number, actually. So as long as the signs are the same, the result will always be positive. So for example, if we had negative 5 times negative, let's change it up a bit, times negative 2, the answer is actually positive 10. However, if we're multiplying or dividing numbers with different signs, the answer is always going to be negative. So for example, so let's do plus, minus, if we're multiplying different signs, so let's say positive 4. That's so messy. So positive 4 times negative 3, the answer is going to be negative. Negative, not 3, but negative 12. Okay, and vice versa, if we switch the order, it doesn't matter. So negative times positive is still going to just be a negative. So let's say negative, I'll even use the same numbers. Negative 3 times 4 is going to be equal to negative 12. All right, so multiplying or dividing, if the signs are the same, then the answer is positive. Same sign, positive, same sign, positive. But if the numbers are opposite sign, the answer is negative. So opposite signs here, negative answer. Opposite signs here, negative answer. All right, it's a little bit less straightforward if we are adding and subtracting. So let's look at what happens when we're adding and subtracting. Okay, so there's so many ways to go about adding and subtracting positive and negative integers. And if there's a way that works for you, please use it. If there is a way, if you still haven't found a way to add and subtract positive and negative integers, I would suggest one way, which is the number line. So that's the way I'm going to go over in this video. So if you're adding, think of that as moving to the right on the number line. And if you're subtracting, think of that as moving to the left on a number line. And you're always going to start off with the first thing. So here we have negative 7. So we want negative 7 on this number line. And I'm just going to stick it somewhere here and hope I have enough room. So negative 7, and I'm going to count on the number line. So I'm not doing the question yet. So negative, it gets less and less negative, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, and over here, negative 8, it's getting more and more negative as it goes down, negative 10, negative 11, negative 12. All right, so here I'm going to start at negative 7, so that is right here. And I'm going to move on the number line. I'm going to move left 4 places. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I do understand that it would be hard to do that for humongous numbers, but that's the visualization that you want to have in your mind when you're adding and subtracting negative and positive integers. So when we moved back 4 places, we ended up at negative 11. So negative 7 minus 4 is actually negative 11. Let's try one more of these. All right, so in this example, I'm going to add this time negative 2 plus 5. All right, so we have a number line here, and we're going to start off with the first thing. So we're going to start off with negative 2 here. So I'm just going to stick that somewhere in the middle of the number line because we know we're going to either have to move left or right. So negative 2. Negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and negative 2, going more negative, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, negative 6, negative 7. All right, so here, because we have plus 5, that means we're going to move to the right this time. So we're going to start off at negative 2, which is right here, and move to the right 5 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we end up at positive 3. So the answer is 3. So yes, again, I know that this would be harder for bigger numbers, but it's that visualization that I want you to have. A couple more things about adding and subtracting, and then we'll be done. All right, so we did not talk about what to do when you see two consecutive operations. So for example, plus minus, or plus a negative number. So I'll give you an actual example here. So let's say you have 5 plus negative 3. So right here, there are two consecutive operations. Even though I call it negative here, you're really looking at a minus sign. So whenever you see them both together, to the positive and the, oh, I'm trying to write, it's not writing properly, the positive and the negative, there we go. That will change into just a subtraction. So 5 plus negative 3 is actually 5 minus 3, which then becomes a super easy problem. It's just 2. All right. But if you see two consecutive signs together, two consecutive operations, and it's the same operation, you guessed it, it then becomes positive. So for example, if we have 9 minus negative 2, that's like minus minus or minus negative. Two negatives make a positive. So we have here 9 plus 2, which is just equal to 11. All right, and that's how it works. So hopefully you know enough about operations with positive and negative integers now to have a successful course in your Algebra 1. We shall see.